And I'm back for another story. This one is in Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories, and this one is Puss in Boots. And Scarlett is really excited to hear this one about a kitty cat that's going to change everything. There once was a young man named Arthur who owned nothing more than the ragged clothes on his back. He had only his kitty cat, Puss, for company. But Puss was no ordinary cat. For one thing, he could talk, and for another, he wore soft leather boots. "Life is hard," sighed the young man, "but at least no pesky homework." "Do not worry, Arthur," said Puss. "If you follow my advice, you will make your fortune." Arthur knew the cat was clever, having seen him catch 12 mice different ways, but he couldn't imagine how Puss could make him rich. For several weeks, Puss went out and caught rabbits and ducks every day. Some of his catch he shared with Arthur, the rest he took to the king. And with every gift he always included a note, with the compliments of the Duke of Lakewood. One day, when Puss learned that the king would be passing by the river, he told Arthur to go for a swim. But leave your clothes hidden under this bush." "Even my underwear?" said Arthur. The cat nodded. "Yes, even your underwear." "This is so embarrassing," said Arthur. But he did as Puss told him and enjoyed himself paddling about in the reeds. Soon the king's coach came down the road just as the cat had told him it would. The king and his daughter were inside. Puss ran out waving his paws. "Help, help! My master, the Duke of Lakewood, is drowning." The king recognized the cat who was always bringing him gifts. He ordered the coach to stop and pointed his servants in Arthur's direction. Now Arthur was a good swimmer and in no danger at all, but following the cat's instructions, he allowed himself to be rescued. "Uh-oh, I don't think the Duke has any clothes," said the princess, whose eyesight was quite good. "Oh no," cried Puss in Boots. "A band of thieves must have stolen them while the Duke was swimming." "How terrible," said the king. He immediately commanded his servants to give the Duke something to wear. In his new clothes, Arthur looked rather grand. He made a very good impression on the king's daughter. "It is good to meet you at last," said the king. "Where is your home?" "The Duke has a fine castle not many miles from here," said Puss. Arthur blinked. "I do?" "It's sometimes hard for the Duke to keep track of his homes," Puss went on. "He has so many. Perhaps even after you have rested, you would like to continue on there for dinner." "Excellent," said the king. "I'd like nothing better." Arthur might have objected to this, but he didn't. The prospect of remaining with the princess a little longer made him very happy. The cat had his work cut out for him. He ran ahead down the road until he came to the grand castle he had told the king about. It was really the home of a feared ogre who had magical powers. The cat knocked at the door, and the ogre let him in. "Oh, mighty one," said Puss, "I have come a great distance to meet you, and stand in the shadow of your greatness." The ogre smiled. He liked the way the cat talked. "I have heard," Puss continued, "that you have the gift of being able to change yourself into any animal you choose." "See for yourself," said the ogre, and in an instant he became a huge and fierce lion. "Goodness," said Puss, who was somewhat relieved when the ogre returned to his original form. "Such a sight was worth my journey in itself. But I wonder—" "Oh, never mind." No, tell me," the ogre insisted. "Well, I was wondering if you could also take the form of a small animal, one quite different from your actual size." "Of course," boasted the ogre, and promptly turned himself into a mouse. "Very good," said Puss. Then he pounced on the mouse and ate him up. By the time the king's coach arrived, Puss had a delicious feast waiting for them. It is said that the Duke of Lakewood and the princess were later married, but if so, Puss had nothing to do with it. Some things he was